invite the COP to adopt the decision entitled Paris Agreement, which is in the document. And I looked out to the room. I see that the reaction is positive. I see no objections. The Paris Agreement is adopted.
In November of 2011, China's main economic planning agency, the National Development and Reform Commission, came out with a plan to experiment with emissions trading in 7 different regions throughout China.
The developments that are coming up are very, very interesting. So the markets in China and the development of a national trading scheme in China is obviously the most exciting because it's the largest. It will dwarf the European ETS once it hits full speed.
When you listen to Chinese officials talk about their confidence in establishing a national carbon market, it's very interesting to watch the officials from India and Vietnam and Brazil and Argentina and Thailand, and the list of countries can go on and on and on.
We're seeing carbon markets take grounding in a lot of new places, and I think that's very healthy. So as I look forward, I think you're going to see in the course of the next 5 years the growth of Asian markets in China and Korea. I think Japan will pick up and take on a more ambitious role in its particular approach to the use of market tools.
The future markets in the short term will look a little bit different, but I suspect in 5 or 10 years' time we will start to coalesce around a highly sophisticated financial market that is spot and forward for many years, with derivatives, i.e. options, around that market. So the future is interesting because it is a much deeper, much larger market, and there will be a number of geographic variations.
We may also see trading clubs grow up through the expansion of the EU ETS and the China ETS and the California-Quebec, soon-to-be Ontario market. Those could all sort of grow and expand and just provide reports up to the UN. That's another different way that things could emerge. But I think it's going to be a very dynamic, creative period, and that there's going to be huge opportunities for investment as we make massive changes to the way we produce and use energy.
I don't think the grand vision of Kyoto and one large international unified force theory, Einstein would be proud carbon market is going to occur. But you'll get regional markets.
So there has been a convergence between what countries have experimented with and participated with under the Framework Convention to what they're confident in implementing domestically. China's a good example of that because it also sets the pace for what other developing countries might be able to do as well.
The experience of the EU ETS will carry people a long way because they don't have to relearn the lesson, and indeed some of the operators from the ETS will be in those new markets.
But a lot of the early lessons that we'll learn will be brought across. And good examples are, to what extent will countries who develop their domestic frameworks look to link those to other countries? To what extent will the CDM continue, and to what extent will it evolve? If we're going down the route of new market mechanisms, what lessons will they learn from domestic trading schemes, cap and trade baseline, how will offsets be used? So there's a constant evolution, but we've got a very solid base to work off.
Carbon markets are not going to solve everything. There are many other things that need to be happening elsewhere. But it could be important not to renounce to something that has been useful and that is still useful to drive the investments in a smart manner.
I think in 5 to 10 years from now, I will talk more than carbon markets about climate efforts, efforts to reduce the negative impacts of climate change.
There's an efficiency and an elegance to markets, but it doesn't. Ultimately, you have to change technology and what you're using, and you can do that lots of different ways. You don't need a market to do it. Market is a way to put a price to it so you distribute resources efficiently.
We have to believe that policies for driving reductions in emissions will come into force in the next 5-10 years. Whether this will use or benefit from markets, I don't know. I hope it does, exactly for the reasons that we were talking about, that the markets were able to mobilize and engage a lot more people than if you only have a command and control measure.
So hopefully creating mechanisms by which the whole community that works on this, governments, international organizations, entrepreneurs, technology providers, banks, work together to solve the environmental problem by using their skills in the best way possible in a coordinated manner, so that we reduce greenhouse gas emissions and improve the climate conditions towards the future.
Companies are really pushing for pricing carbon. So I think we are gradually getting there, and that we might get maybe only one thing, but I think that would be important if government would sort of commit to have pricing of carbon in their regulations to come.
The tool has proven that it's workable, that it produces results. You point the emissions trading tool at a problem and it will deliver, and it will surprise you in how creative and how engaged the business community can be behind such a program.
We have business leaders who constantly speak out on carbon pricing and constantly promote the value and importance of cost-effective, market-based solutions to addressing climate change. And these are business leaders which are primarily speaking out because they have that experience, because they've meaningfully participated in the EU's emissions trading system or the clean development mechanism under the Kyoto Protocol, or they're participating in the carbon market in California, or those that are in place in Canada at the subnational level.
In this field, you really care about the environment. If you're in it just for the quick buck, you're in and you're gone. And it's not going to be fun. So having fun doing all this is really important, because it's real tough to get up in the morning and haul yourself in when you're not having fun, when you're not learning something and doing something new all the time.
I think it is very evident that climate change is a reality. When the UNFCCC convention was signed, or even Kyoto was ratified by all these countries and entered into effect, there was a slight doubt whether climate change was happening. Now we have overwhelming evidence that climate change is not just a thing that we have to solve for the future, but it's an actual problem that we're experiencing every day.
We need to be taking the issue so much more seriously and really using this tool to its full potential. And right now it still sort of feels like we're, revving the engines, getting ready to do something dramatic with it, but we haven't let it really show its full colors yet.